What's going on, guys? This is Decelation, and today we're going to do a garage update. I know it's been a while since we've been working on this. Last week has been pretty hectic with been helping out a bunch of I've been helping out Brian with his car. We actually had to tow another one of his cars to a place where it'll be safe before we can repair it. Had to help girlfriend's cousin out move some horses. So last week was not a good week. We didn't have a lot of time to work on this, but today I do want to discuss with you guys everything that's going on, the status of all the projects, and what my plan are for all of them. So we'll start off with this. So the hot rod truck, we want to have this done. Well, I want to have this done by around end of March, early April. So, I mean, that's still a few months away, but that is what I'm working towards. That is kind of my plan, which will put me pretty much at 1 year of having the truck, from starting the build to completing the build, which I think is a fairly decent time frame. Typically, I'm seeing 2 to 5 years to build one of the factory 5 cars. So I would say doing it in a year is a pretty nice accomplishment for me, considering this is the first kit car I've ever built. So yeah. So after we finish the hot rod truck, we're going to hop on to the show. So there's just a few things I need to do to my 2015 Ford Taurus show. Now, I got them right here. So these downpipes, stainless work downpipes, and intercooler. And I also want to get hot pipes and the Eco Power Parts intake. And I think at that point, I'm just going to call it good. The show will be done. Nothing else done to it. Said every car guy ever. I know. But that is kind of my daily, so I kind of want to leave it at that. So, yeah, once I finish the show, then we're going to be able to bring in the BMW to get it to start working on. So if you guys saw the New Year's video, I showed you the plans on what we're doing with that. So that's kind of the plan for that. So that's the timeline. So I'm looking at March, April for the hot rod truck. The show shouldn't take more than a weekend, 2 at the most if I'm needing parts or waiting on something. And then the BMW. So we're looking at getting the BMW in the shop and starting to rip apart probably mid-April timeframe. Early to mid-April is what we're looking at for that. So that build, depending on parts, is probably going to take a couple months. I'm thinking probably April to June or July-ish is when I expect to have that build done. So there's a few of those things also depend on funding, because there's something I have in the works as well that is not cheap. But if you wait to the end of the video, we're going to discuss it. But yes, so the BMW will take about 3 months. My estimates, because it's not like we're building a car from scratch like this. That's really just pulling out the engine, the transmission, the rear end, everything that makes it a car. Yeah, but yeah, it won't be that bad. So let's bring us to the Raptor. Sadly, right now the Raptor's in the shop. Something's going on with the transfer case. I did a little digging. It could be like an IWE valve is what I've been seeing. It seems like it doesn't want to disengage and engage between 4-wheel drive and 2-wheel drive. So we'll see. But under warranty. Not my problem. Don't have to worry about it. But yeah, that's what's going on with the Raptor. But there are some small things I want to do to the Raptor as well. I want to put a chase rack on it. I definitely want to get to some place to do some off-roading. There's not a lot of good off-roading really close to where I'm at right now. So we're going to have to probably do some road trips just to go off-roading and have some fun times off-road with that truck. And yeah, that's about it. Like, I just want to do some lighting, just a little bit of off-road mods, pretty much. Yeah, nothing too crazy with that truck. I kind of like it the way it is. I may tune it, but I'm probably going to wait until it's at 20, 30,000 miles, make sure the common issues like the cam phasers and other things aren't an issue with my truck. So outside of that, keep the warranty on that one. Now that's going to bring us to the diesel, to my 2003 F350 dually. Now, I promised you guys I was going to talk to you about why I went with the 6.0, not the 7.3. I think everyone know why I didn't go with that 6.4 and why I didn't cough up the cash to get a 6.7. So, first things first, just my own personal preference. I like Ford trucks. Just for, I've had a Ford truck for many years, and I just like the way they drive. I like the way they feel. I just like the way I just like them all in all. I know, kind of a Ford dude. Weird. But so I was looking at the Fords, and I actually took a look at the Chevys and Dodges, but my price range I was looking at was I wanted to get a dedicated tow vehicle, and I had about a $15,000 budget to get the dedicated tow vehicle. And looking at the Chevys and the Dodges, all of the ones I was finding that was even under my 15 grand budget were clapped out, rusted to crap, needed thousands of dollars of repair. Like, typically, I was finding like the decent versions of them to 20 to 25,000. So I was like, well, that's a little bit over my budget of what I was looking for. So I started looking at the Fords as well, and initially I was looking at the 7.3s. Heard great things about the 7.3s. They're the Halo diesel engine, if you would, everyone's favorite Ford diesel. And I was looking at them, but there's one complaint about them. They don't make a lot of power, and a lot of people weren't happy with their towing performance when you're towing like kind of heavy. I would say 8 to 10,000 pounds. And you're going up and down grades. Apparently, those engines don't really maintain speed at that. Like, you're really slowing down when you're going up and down grade. EGR temps are getting a little out of hand as well. So just all around and not a fun experience. So I was like, all right, well, if that's the case, let me look at other options. Well, the 6.4, I looked at the 6.4 and I looked at the 6.0s. So the 6.4s are notorious for, they have the DPF, which ends up, they have to go into regen all the time to burn up the particulates in the DPF to clean it out. Well, that was dumping excess fuel into the engine, which was diluting the oil, and they were wiping bearings, main bearings for this. So they actually had a lot of engine failures because they had to have the DPF. Now, where I live is very, very strict with emissions. So I can't remove certain emissions equipment or go to Bluetooth emissions equipment, if you would. So that's something that I would have to deal with. And I know that is an issue, and I know the reason why it's caused. So I had to look away from the 6.4s. And therefore, we bring this to the 6.0s. Now, I was looking at the 6.0s. There's from what I remember, 5 typical issues that happens with those. But we know about them, and if you address them correctly, they aren't really a problem. So the first one is the FICM. The fuel injector control module typically fails. There's not a lot of, it's just the location where it was. It goes through heat cycling and everything, and it just kind of failed, which not that hard to replace. The water pump uses a plaster impeller blade, which is prone to cracking and having issues with that. The oil cooler, the location of it, the fact that it is upstream of the EGR cooler, and the type of cooling element that it's prone to get clogged up really easy, which in turns doesn't get enough coolant flow to your EGR cooler, which then ends up having EGR rupture, and you have coolant being dumped right into your intake. And then the head gaskets, because the truck used head bolts instead of head studs, and they only use 4 bolts per cylinder. It wasn't when you do. There's people that have had stock trucks that go 300,000 miles without ever stretching their head bolts and lifting their heads. And there's people that have gone 60,000 miles and needed to stud the truck. So it really just depends. A lot of the consensus is usually if you put a tune on it, you're more than likely on borrowed time. Stock power, it's a coin toss if you're going to keep it. So that's something that I was aware of, and I looked at it. So then, which brings me to the truck that I purchased. So I found the truck for $7,500 for sale. I talked him down to $7,200. The guy only had the truck for about a year and a half. He used it as a transport truck. He had the bed off, and all he was doing was he had a 5th wheel hitch attached to the frame rails, and he was just transporting something. I don't know what he was transporting. I think it was cars, but not sure. So after I was looking around in the engine bay, I told him if he'll take 72. He took 7,200 for it, and I noticed that the truck had already been studded. The head studs, it had head studs, not head bolts, which means the head gaskets had been replaced and head studs have been put in. So one of the major issues that plagues this truck, and one of the more expensive issues that plagues this truck, has already been addressed. Then I noticed that the FICM was a brand new unit. So that's another issue that has been majorly addressed and replaced on this truck. Then I noticed that with the 2003s, they actually had metal intercooler piping versus plastic ones. I think the later 2004s and till all the way 2007. So I noted that it had the metal intercooler piping because it was a 03, so that wasn't that bad of an issue. But yeah, so I went through and I was like, 2 of the major issues that plague these trucks have already been addressed with this truck. So I wonder how many others have been. And the truck has 210,000 miles. So I got it, and I got it started. And I mean, you guys saw in the previous video, if you watched that I was having trouble cold starting. So when I fixed the taillights and got it to where I can drive it around on the street comfortably, I took it to a diesel shop. Nova Diesel, they're right around the block for me, very well rated. And after the few conversations I've had with the owner, they're very knowledgeable. The way he recommended things and the way he explained certain things that's going on, because I've been around cars my whole life. I've been working on cars. I've never really owned a diesel, never really worked on them. So there's other things that go into a diesel that's like similar to cars, but also diesel specific knowledge. So, but the way he explained it, it made good engineering sense. So I like that. So we went through and I told him to check it out, figure everything out. So the reason why the truck wasn't cold starting well, simple. The glow plug control module, that has also been replaced, but it wasn't fully plugged in. The glow plugs weren't actually turning on. Simple fix. So that was one major issue that I was concerned about, already solved. So the only things that are actually wrong with the truck was the oil cooler was leaking externally and internally. So it was leaking oil on top of the V. So the oil cooler is located on the V of the engine, and that was leaking. It was also leaking oil into the coolant. So that the oil cooler is being replaced. But I'm also doing, I believe it's IPR. Yeah, IPR. Their oil cooler relocation kit. We're doing that instead of just the factory oil cooler because it's more efficient and less prone to failure. And then the front sway bar ball joint, that needs to be replaced. We're replacing that. The steering box needs to be replaced. We're replacing that. And the rear pinion seal, simple stuff, replaced. And what else? There's one more thing. Oh, the front brakes. The front rotors are warped, so we're replacing the front brakes. That's it. So yes, I paid $7,200 for the truck. I budgeted $15,000, and I knew, because of where I live in an HOA controlled neighborhood where there's a particular name for a certain lady that likes to be in charge of these things. Let's just say she lives two doors down from me, and I've already been reported for working on cars in my driveway before, or working on a car on the street, I should say. And that truck is too big for me to do this work in this shop, as you see. So I took it to a diesel shop, and that's what we're gonna do. And for the repairs, totaled right around $4,000. So I have the truck, put it in 7,200, put $4,000 into it, and the repairs are good. Now I opted for $2,000 of optional upgrades on top of those repairs, but wasn't necessary to get the truck running or working perfectly. That's just myself, and I like upgrades, and we're going to kind of talk about the upgrades. One of them is the IPR, oil cooler relocation. I could have went with the factory Ford one, and then the other one is a tuner and tunes. But hey, that was just me. I wanted that. So even still, after my upgrades, I'm still into the truck, almost $1,500 less than what my budget was, and that'll also give me plenty of power, and from what I'm hearing, the 6.0s is the best sounding diesel truck out there. A lot of people agree with that. So I don't know. I haven't spent much time listening to diesel trucks, but I'm gonna start. But yes, thank you guys for making it to the end of the video. And here goes the present that I promised you guys. I'm in the works of getting a shop. We've already done the initial planning. We're working on trying to get the funds. Like, I'm working on trying to get my part of the funds. It's a co-op going in with another person, and we're splitting the cost. So he's got his funds already. It's just waiting on me. Yeah, this thing took a lot of funds. So I'm rebuilding some funds, and my plan is I want to have the shop built by the end of the year. So if that tells you how aggressive the plan is and how soon this may be coming to fruition. So that is something that I'm working towards, and I really do appreciate you guys for watching these videos, because you guys got to motivate me to create better content for you, to put myself in a position to where I can create better content for you guys. And I really enjoy it. I do appreciate all the feedback you guys give me. You guys have been amazing. I can't thank you guys enough, and just thank you. And I hope this year for everyone goes a lot better. I'm trying to make it better for myself and for content for you guys. So stay tuned, guys. And if you like this video, comment down below, let me know. Tell me, guys, what you guys think. If I said anything wrong about anything, let me know. Hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Still 75% if you aren't subscribed. And I need you guys, get these numbers up, because I really do. By June, I want to have 1,000 subscribers. That's my goal. If you guys can get me to 1,000, awesome. Awesome sauce. But thank you again. Have a good one. Peace.